Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts. Glenn Lundy, welcome to the conversation today.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Great to be here.
It is great to be with you. You're joining us from Kentucky. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about unlocking your full potential. This is a topic I love. We'll be talking about, generally speaking, how to unlock your full potential, but also, within a workplace setting, how to unlock our leadership potential, how to unlock the potential of our teams. And this is something you have a lot of expertise in. And so I'm excited to tap your experience and wisdom and insights. As we get started, I wanted to share Glenn's bio with everybody. Glenn Lundy is a highly accomplished individual with a diverse range of skills and experiences. He's a devoted husband and a proud father of 8 children. He has dedicated the past 25 years of his life to the automotive industry and has built a reputation as a respected professional in the field. As an author, Glenn has written several books sharing his knowledge and expertise in helping people unlock their full potential. He is a sought-after motivational speaker using his experiences to inspire and encourage others to achieve their goals. He has also achieved the winner of the Great American Speak-Off. In addition to his successful career, Glenn is also founder of the 800% Elite Automotive Club, a membership-based organization for people in the automotive space. He hosts a daily morning show called Rise and Grind. I think all of that is tremendous. I'm going to pause there. Anything you would like to share by way of your background or personal context before we dive on in?
No, man. I think the only thing I would probably share there is I wish my kids could, do an intro like that for me every time I walked into the house, man. You made me sound great over there, bro. I like that.
Me too. So you have me beat. I only have 6 children.
Okay.
And
that's a good
I might be a wee bit younger than you. I'm not sure. My kids age 11 to 21, and they definitely aren't impressed by me. And so they razz me every chance they get, and they would never share a bio like this about me when I walk in the room.
That is a fact. That is a fact. Yeah, I've got 8. I've got 9 is on the way. My wife is currently pregnant with number 9. And
congratulations.
We have a 25-year-old, and then there's a 10-year gap, and then they go from 15 all the way down to newborn. So 6 girls going on 3 boys. It's been a wild ride.
Yeah, awesome. 4 girls, 2 boys for me. So
congrats, man.
I kind of get it. I get the
6 is plenty. 6 is plenty. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, this is awesome to have a chance to sit down with you. I'm just curious, with your diverse background, obviously automotive industry is a big piece of that. How did you get into the space of writing, of speaking, sharing your expertise? Because obviously a lot of what you do transcends the automotive industry.
Yeah, for sure, man. Early in the bio there, you talked about unlocking your full potential, and I'm one of those guys who have been blessed with living multiple lives in one lifetime. That'd be the best way to describe it. And I spent a big season of my life not leaning into my full potential, not attempting to reach my full potential. None of those things. And that season of my life ultimately led me to a really down and dark place, right? So there was a season of my life where I was homeless, a season of my life where I was in a deep depression, suicidal thoughts, suicidal attempt. I attempted to take my own life, in and out of jail, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was in automotive during that season of my life. I was in the auto industry, but I was allowing the auto industry to be the catalyst of everything kind of in my life. I was allowing it to influence me in a negative way, would be the best way to put it. It was in an environment that was high pressure, super intense, not a whole lot of integrity. There wasn't a lot of moral values. It was just whatever. And I allowed that to bleed into every other aspect of my life. So fast forward after that, rock bottom moment, for lack of a better word, I came to realize that you, me, and others, we all have this innate ability where we are actually the catalysts of what happens in our lives, whether it be good or bad. We're not victims to, but we're actually responsible for. And once I realized that, once I made that shift, it was like, oh, well, okay, if I'm responsible for and I'm the catalyst of the things in my life, can I be the catalyst of good things in my life? And in order to, for the answer to that to be yes, I've got to understand my full potential. What am I capable of, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I went on a journey of personal development, spiritual development, and that journey led me back to the auto industry. But this time I decided instead of the industry making an impact on me, I'm going to make an impact in the industry. In
Mm.
order to do that, I had to have massive levels of success. In order to do that, I had to write books. In order to do that, I had to speak on stages. In order for me to be a positive impact and influence in the industry, I had to show up, right? Versus just allowing it to breathe down on me. And so that's really what led to all the other things, the writing, the speaking, and so on and so forth, was this innate desire to unlock my full potential and have a positive impact on an industry that ultimately I love.
Interesting. I appreciate your vulnerability and sharing a little bit about your background. We all have ups and downs, and my experience has been that we're all on a bit of a winding road.
Yeah,
Very few people have kind of a linear path in life. We're kind of winding and zigzagging around. And so, being able to face those challenges and to learn from them, I think is what life is all about. And you said something, towards the beginning of sharing that intrigued me, that being able to acknowledge, perhaps the environment that you were in, was not the best for you at the time.
hmm,
But also learning, so acknowledging that's the case for a lot of us. We might find ourselves in a given environment with external pressures, external triggers, whatever, that aren't great for us for whatever reason, right?
yeah, no
It's
doubt.
good for us to be able to acknowledge that, but it's also good for us to be able to recognize and acknowledge also our own power, to be able to respond, and have power and choice in how we respond, and that we can take action in what we choose in response to those stimuli around us. And that's something that you were able to do, to make some life changes, to make some adjustments, probably some mindset shifts,
Oh yeah,
other
for
life
sure.
choice shifts, those sorts of things, to the point where later in life you're actually able to go back into that environment, the one that had been negative for you, and now you're able to actually have a very positive experience in that environment. So two things. One, I want to acknowledge that yes, we can be in negative environments. Sometimes it's good for us to pull ourselves out of those negative environments, because external environments and pressures can cause harm to us.
For
And it's
sure.
it's good for us to be able to know that and acknowledge that. But two, we have power, we have choice, and we can choose how we respond. But you also acknowledged, this ethical component, like just realizing, maybe, there's a lot there that wasn't good for you, that was morally compromising, ethically compromising, so you weren't being a man of integrity, perhaps the way
For
that
sure.
you wanted to be or needed to be. And now fast forward, now have a better sense of where you want to be, the values that are core to who you are. So you go back into this environment. Now you're a person with a mission, a person with a purpose, right? Tell us more about, how part of fulfilling your potential and your purpose required you, to stay consistent with and align with, those values, that integrity, and how, writing your book, speaking, how that was able to help you do that even when you're in an environment that previously had been so negative for you.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's interesting because I used to live my life with a very firm Darwinistic belief system, right? Like
Mm.
survival of the fittest, dog eat dog. If I get over on you, that's your fault, not my fault, right? And I believed with all of my heart that human beings were two part. We were mind and body. That was
Mm.
it. So if it looked good and it felt good, the answer was yes, right? And that's how I lived my life. And it wasn't until I saw where that path took me, that Darwinistic approach with no ethics, no morals, no thought outside of self. It wasn't until I saw the end of that, right? And it landed me in this very alone and very dark space that I decided to maybe look into and start to discover the idea that we are not two-part mind and body, we are three-part mind, body, spirit.
Mm.
And that changes the whole equation, right? It's not just if it looks good and it feels good. Now it's if it looks good and it feels good and it is good.
Mm.
Then the answer is yes. So by adding that additional dynamic, it just completely transformed how I made decisions in my life. Now I
Mhm.
wasn't thinking just about myself, but I was also thinking about the impact that this has on others. Is that a positive thing or not? I started thinking about things like legacy. I started thinking about things like honor, integrity, right? All of these things didn't exist in that Darwinistic approach that I had on life. So making that shift really started to help unlock more of me because I had taken the spiritual aspect of self and just shoved that into a corner, right? Basically claiming that it didn't exist. And so as I started to explore that spiritual element of self and our ability to innately align and create, energetic synchronicity, if that's the right word,
Mhm.
between others and humanity. Once I started going there, then it's like, okay, well, if I'm gonna like my daily morning show, right? I started doing this daily morning show, Rise and Grind. It's all about motivation, education, inspiration. The first, I was doing it at 5:30 in the morning. The first 1,000 episodes I did live at 5:30 in the morning, and so I'd
Wow.
wake up. For the first like month, I woke up at like 5:20 and did a show at 5:30, right?
Mm.
And I'm telling people, you got to get up and grind, and you got to do this morning stuff, and you got to write down your gratitudes. But I wasn't doing all of those things, right? Like I knew that we should, but I wasn't necessarily doing it. So then I had to start waking up at 5 and then 4:30 and then 4 and then it became 3:20 in the morning because when I was looking at myself in the mirror, I had to make sure that my actions and my words were matching
Mm.
because in order to be a man of integrity, my words and my actions must align, right? And so the show helped make me better just doing it every day because I had to look in the mirror. When I'm writing this book and I'm writing these strategies, the 12 proven principles to grow your business 800%. When I'm writing that book, I'm like, do I truly align with that? Am I that? I once had a pastor say, be the type of man that you would want to follow.
Mm.
Right. And so, because we added that spiritual piece and because I added this piece of integrity and honor, now I had to become more, right? I had to become more in order to align with the things that I was teaching other people to be. So it's been a tremendous shift, man. When you really add that spiritual aspect and really seek to serve and make a positive impact in other people's lives, it's not about what you do for others that ultimately is the end game. It's what ends up happening for self, not in a selfish way. It's just what's required in order to go out there and make that positive impact is you have to be the type of person you would want to follow.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Very well said. And I think, that's a hard thing. Like you said, sometimes it starts aspirationally. You started your show, which let me just say, I mean, anyone starting a show at 5:30 in the morning in and of itself is super impressive. So, the fact that
Thanks.
you did that and did that consistently and rolled out of bed at 5:20 and did a show at 5:30, that's to me super darn impressive anyways. But you started to feel like, okay, this isn't quite what it should be or needs to be. And so over time, you made adjustments, and that's even more impressive. And I think I guess my point is, we can grow into our intentions.
Right.
We can grow into our aspirations,
For
and
sure.
and let's not hold ourselves back because we're not going to be perfect from day one.
Hmm.
I mean, to be honest, I mean, starting with a 5:30 show is so great anyways, but maybe, if you're wanting to get out there and like exercise, maybe, getting up and exercising at 5:30 in the morning is not realistic for you, right? But do something that is doable. But having that those aspirational intentions are good. So start with something aspirational and then work towards, like, gain some confidence and
Totally.
start to work and chip away and work towards something, because there is deeper reservoirs of potential within you, and sometimes we just don't have enough confidence to dig deeper, right? And there's a lot happening in our lives. We're all busy. We all have our baggage. We all have like stuff pulling at us. I mean, you were talking earlier, 8 kids, ninth on the way. My goodness, that means you have a lot pulling on you. I only have 6 kids and I have a lot pulling on me. You know,
For
I get
sure.
it. And we all have stuff though. That's the thing is we all have stuff. And so just, setting those aspirational goals is important. And then having the integrity to stick to the values that we hold dear. And you talk about the spiritual component, and for some people that's organized religion, but it doesn't need to be like
Correct.
the spirituality in my mind is more about kind of the wholeness, the oneness of self and alignment of self, right? And for some,
Yep.
that's organized religion. For others, that's some other form of like connection to the universe or just an alignment of self with others around you. I mean, it can play out in a lot of different ways for different people, but I agree that it's really important. And
Oh yeah.
it at the foundation of it is alignment of values, integrity, and striving for consistency. And those aren't easy things to do, but they're definitely worthwhile and super valuable.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. And it's really interesting that I think everyone has an innate desire to unlock their full potential. I think that for many it can be challenging because you will not find your full potential in a comfort zone. Like it just doesn't exist in comfort. That's your
Yeah.
full potential by definition is out on the boundaries. It's a stretch. It's beyond where you're currently at, right? So waiting for perfection or waiting till you're comfortable or waiting till you're confident, to chase the vision, chase the dream, to seek out that aspiration or that desire that you have is ultimately it's a flawed equation. It simply doesn't work. You have to lean into the uncomfortable, to the boundaries of who and where you currently are in order to be able to stretch and create that something new, right? Your full potential is on the other side of current potential.
Mhm.
Right? And who you are today can only get you to where you are today. If there's somewhere you want to go in the future, you have to become someone new. Well, no matter what that looks like. If you want to be a parent in the future, you got to become something new, like physically, right? Things have to happen in order for that experience. Like you mentioned, fitness, whether it be your faith or your family or your finances. If you want your bank account to look different, you have to become different, and that's all right out there on the edge. Luckily, I've learned that in the last, and I'm still doing that every single day today. But luckily, this season of my life, the last 15, 16 years, I was able to learn that particular lesson. And I'm not afraid to start anything, man. I'll start it all, right? And I might
Yeah.
fail or fall or flop or whatever, but there's always going to be some sort of lesson or extension of self. And that's the power of us being spiritual beings. We're not limited to just mind and body. There is another element, there's another aspect. And we were designed as creators with the ability to create. So just keep leaning in on it, man. Just keep leaning in on it.
I love it. I love it. Glenn, this has just been a real pleasure. I know at the time and I need to let you run, but before we wrap things up, I wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, and then give us the final word for today.
Yeah, man. As far as connecting with me, just look up Glenn Lundy or you can go to glennlundy.com. Luckily for me, it seems I'm the only Glenn Lundy in the world that cares about a brand on social media or anything like that. So you can find me with one N or two N's. You'll have no problem finding me. We have literally thousands and thousands of videos that are out there that are free to consume. I've got ebooks that you can download, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So just look up Glenn Lundy and I would love to connect. As far as final words, I really just want to say, Jonathan, I appreciate your grace and understanding in creating this space and time for me. When I was homeless, man, People think that homelessness sucks because you don't have money, you don't have a roof over your head or whatever. And yes, those things are things that we tend to take for granted when we're not in that state. But the real worst part of homelessness is that you become invisible. No one will make eye contact with you, right? Which I don't blame them. People think you're going to mug them or ask them for money or make them feel uncomfortable or whatever. I get it. But as a homeless person, people will always look above you, below you, to the left of you, to the right of you, but no one ever looks at you and no one ever says your name. I would not wish, people sometimes say, I wish I had this superhero power of being invisible. I would never wish being invisible on anyone, man. It is the absolute worst space that you can possibly be in as a spiritual being. And so I don't take this for granted. I appreciate you seeing me, Jonathan. I appreciate you allowing my voice to be heard. I appreciate you creating this space for me and sharing me with your audience. It means the world to me.
Thank you, Glenn. I really appreciate it. I hope the audience will reach out, get connected, check out all the great resources Glenn, has created and provided. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.